Before you make up your mind, there's something you need to see. What began as an ordinary interview quickly turned into a conversation that no one expected. And by the end, viewers couldn't stop talking about one unexpected detail. It wasn't a shocking controversy or a dramatic confrontation. It was Monica Barbaro's genuine reaction to the internet's hilarious obsession with one night only, followed by a playful New York accent that instantly changed the energy of the entire interview. Here's what makes this so fascinating. Most celebrities instinctively distance themselves from viral reactions because they never know whether the next trending post will be praise or criticism. Monica did the exact opposite. Instead of resisting the conversation, she leaned into it with confidence, curiosity, and a great sense of humor. That single decision created a level of authenticity that audiences immediately connected with, making every answer feel spontaneous rather than rehearsed. Then came the moment that completely shifted the atmosphere. As the discussion moved from her latest movie to accents and everyday humor, Monica casually slipped into a New York accent that caught everyone off guard. It wasn't planned as the highlight of the interview, yet it instantly became one of the most memorable moments. Sometimes the smallest surprises leave the strongest impressions, and this was one of those moments that viewers found impossible to forget. But beneath all the laughter was something even more interesting. Monica opened up about preparing for challenging roles, embracing unusual characters, and taking creative risks that many actors might hesitate to accept. She explained why One Night only stood out from the very first time she read the script, and why its unique premise sparked endless conversations across the internet. The more people talked about it, the more curiosity grew, turning simple reactions into widespread excitement. What happened next made the interview even more engaging. Instead of treating the online memes as distractions, Monica celebrated them, revealing which fan reactions genuinely made her laugh. That unexpected honesty transformed the interview into something far more personal, proving that sometimes the strongest connection with an audience comes from embracing the fun instead of trying to control it. So stay with us, because this conversation is filled with humor, surprising stories, unforgettable moments, and the internet reactions that even Monica Barbaro couldn't stop smiling about. By the end, you'll understand why this interview resonated with so many people and why everyone keeps talking about One Night Only. Monica Barbaro has built a reputation for bringing authenticity and versatility to every role she takes on. But this time, it wasn't just her performance that captured everyone's attention. It was the way she openly embraced the internet's reactions to her latest film, One Night Only. In an era where every interview is analyzed, clipped, and shared across social media within minutes, Monica managed to create a conversation that felt refreshingly genuine. Instead of carefully avoiding unexpected topics, she welcomed them, turning a routine promotional appearance into a memorable exchange that audiences genuinely enjoyed. From the very beginning, the atmosphere felt relaxed and inviting. Rather than jumping straight into discussing the film, the conversation naturally explored Monica's personality, allowing viewers to see the person behind the performances. That approach immediately created a stronger connection with the audience. Instead of hearing rehearsed promotional answers, people were watching someone who wasn't afraid to laugh at herself, tell funny stories, and enjoy the unpredictable direction the interview took. As the discussion unfolded, Monica reflected on the dedication that goes into preparing for demanding roles. Whether it's learning new skills, perfecting an accent, or fully immersing herself in a character, she explained that every performance requires patience and commitment. Those behind-the-scenes insights revealed just how much work happens long before audiences ever see the finished product, making her achievements feel even more impressive. Of course, one of the biggest talking points was One Night Only itself. The film's unusual concept immediately sparked curiosity online, inspiring thousands of conversations, debates, jokes, and memes. While many actors might feel overwhelmed by that level of attention, Monica found it genuinely entertaining. She admitted that seeing fans creatively respond to the movie became one of the most enjoyable parts of the entire experience. That positive attitude only strengthened the connection between her and the audience, showing that she appreciates the enthusiasm surrounding her work. The interview became even more entertaining when the conversation shifted toward accents and everyday humor. What started as a simple discussion unexpectedly led to Monica showing off a playful New York accent, creating one of the funniest moments of the entire interview. It wasn't forced or overly dramatic, it happened naturally, and that's exactly why it resonated with so many viewers. Sometimes the most memorable moments aren't carefully planned. They're the ones that happen spontaneously. As we continue, you'll hear Monica share the stories behind her latest project, reveal what attracted her to such an unconventional film, explain why the internet's creativity genuinely surprised her, and revisit the lighthearted moments that made this interview stand out from countless other celebrity appearances. By the end, it's easy to understand why audiences walked away talking not only about One Night Only, but also about Monica Barbaro herself. The conversation begins on a warm and welcoming note as Monica Barbaro is introduced and congratulated on the success surrounding her latest project. Instead of diving straight into the movie itself, the discussion first focuses on everything that led up to this exciting moment. After months of preparation, filming, and anticipation, Monica reflects on what it feels like to finally share One Night Only with audiences. There's a sense of excitement in her voice, but also relief, because every completed project represents the end of one creative journey and the beginning of another. She explains that finishing a film is always an emotional experience. For months, actors become completely immersed in a character's world, spending countless hours developing relationships with the cast and crew. Then, almost overnight, that chapter comes to an end. While audiences only see the finished product, the people involved remember every rehearsal, every challenging day on set, and every small moment that helped bring the story to life. Looking back on that experience reminds Monica just how much teamwork goes into creating a film that audiences can enjoy. As she reflects on the journey, another interesting idea begins to emerge. Many people assume that once filming wraps, an actor's job is finished. In reality, that's often when an entirely new phase begins. Interviews, premieres, press appearances, and conversations with fans become just as important as the filming itself. It's during these moments that actors finally get to hear real reactions from audiences, and those reactions can often be just as rewarding as making the movie in the first place. That naturally leads Monica to talk about the growing excitement surrounding One Night Only. Long before many people had even watched the film, its unique concept had already sparked conversations online. Curiosity spread quickly because the premise was unlike anything audiences were expecting. Instead of simply promoting another romantic comedy, Monica found herself discussing a story that immediately encouraged people to ask questions, imagine different scenarios, and share their own opinions. That level of engagement made the project feel special from the very beginning. What makes her perspective especially engaging is that she doesn't describe the experience with rehearsed enthusiasm. Instead, she speaks with genuine appreciation for everyone who has shown interest in the film. She understands that audience curiosity is what keeps creative projects alive. Every discussion, every question, and every online reaction helps introduce the movie to someone new. Rather than seeing those conversations as pressure, she embraces them as proof that people are emotionally invested. By the end of this part of the interview, it's already clear that Monica isn't simply celebrating the release of another movie. She's enjoying the entire experience that comes with it, from finishing months of hard work to finally watching audiences discover the story for themselves. That excitement becomes the perfect foundation for everything that follows, setting up an interview filled with humor, honesty, and plenty of unforgettable moments. As the conversation continues, attention shifts from the excitement of releasing a new film to the demanding preparation that happens long before the cameras start rolling. Monica Barbaro explains that every role presents a completely different challenge, and one of the most important parts of her process is making each character feel believable. It's not enough to simply memorize lines or wear the right costume. To truly connect with a role, she believes an actor has to think, speak, and react the way that character naturally would. One of the biggest challenges she discusses is learning new accents. While audiences often hear a flawless performance on screen, they rarely realize how much preparation goes into making an accent sound convincing. Monica admits that mastering a different way of speaking requires patience, repetition, and constant practice. Every word, every sentence, and even the rhythm of a conversation has to feel natural. It's a skill that demands complete focus because even the smallest mistake can immediately pull viewers out of the story. She goes on to explain that once she begins working with a new accent, she prefers to stay with it as much as possible. Instead of switching back and forth throughout the day, she finds it easier to remain in that voice between rehearsals and filming. This helps the speech patterns become second nature, allowing her performance to feel effortless when the cameras are rolling. While this method requires discipline, it also creates a stronger connection with the character, making every scene more authentic. Of course, that approach also leads to some unexpectedly funny situations. Monica laughs about how staying in character can sometimes confuse the people around her. Friends, co-workers, or even casual conversations can suddenly become amusing when she instinctively responds in an accent they weren't expecting. Those moments serve as a reminder that acting doesn't always end when the director calls for a break. Sometimes the preparation continues long after rehearsal is over, creating stories that are just as entertaining as the performances themselves. She also acknowledges that performing an accent in front of native speakers brings an entirely different level of pressure. Knowing that people who hear that accent every day will naturally notice even the smallest inaccuracies can feel intimidating. Rather than pretending it comes easily, Monica openly admits that she still feels nervous whenever she's asked to demonstrate an accent outside of the role. That honesty makes her experience more relatable because it shows that confidence doesn't mean never feeling pressure. It means continuing despite it. Another interesting point she raises is that every accent carries its own personality. It's not just about changing pronunciation, it's about adopting a different rhythm, attitude, and energy. The way a person speaks often influences how they express emotions, react to situations, and interact with others. Understanding those subtle differences helps transform an impression into a fully developed character, which is why Monica dedicates so much time to getting every detail right. By this stage of the interview, viewers gain a much deeper appreciation for the work that happens behind the scenes. What may seem effortless on screen is actually the result of countless hours of preparation, practice, and persistence. Monica's willingness to share both the challenges and the humorous moments makes the conversation even more engaging, while also building anticipation for the lighthearted accent demonstration that becomes one of the interview's most memorable highlights. Just when the conversation seems to settle into a discussion about the challenges of acting, it suddenly takes an unexpected turn that completely changes the mood. After talking about the pressure of learning different accents for professional roles, the focus shifts to something much more playful. Instead of discussing formal performances or difficult character work, Monica Barbaro begins talking about the accents she enjoys doing simply for fun. It's a small transition, but it instantly makes the interview feel more personal, allowing viewers to see a side of her that doesn't usually appear during movie promotions. Monica explains that while some accents require intense preparation and careful attention to detail, others have become inside jokes between her and her friends. One accent, in particular, always manages to make them laugh: the classic New York accent. She describes how they can take the most ordinary situation imaginable and transform it into something hilarious simply by changing the way it's spoken. According to her, it doesn't matter if they're talking about grocery shopping, getting coffee, or running errands. The accent somehow makes even the simplest conversation sound dramatic, entertaining, and impossible to ignore. Without much warning, Monica casually slips into the accent, and the atmosphere changes immediately. What had been a thoughtful conversation about acting suddenly becomes filled with laughter. Her delivery is energetic, confident, and playful, showing that she's genuinely enjoying the moment rather than trying to put on a performance. That spontaneity is exactly what makes the exchange so memorable. It doesn't feel rehearsed or carefully planned. It feels like friends joking around, and that authenticity is what instantly captures everyone's attention. The host can't help but join in, responding with the same playful energy. Before long, the two are bouncing jokes back and forth, proving how quickly a simple impression can turn into one of the funniest parts of an interview. Instead of trying to outdo each other, they build on each other's humor naturally, creating a conversation that feels effortless. The laughter isn't forced, and that's precisely why audiences find it so enjoyable. Sometimes the best entertainment comes from moments that nobody expected. Monica also points out something surprisingly interesting about the New York accent. She believes it has a unique ability to make almost any story sound more exciting than it really is. A completely ordinary experience suddenly feels larger than life, not because the events themselves are unusual, but because the delivery adds so much personality. It's a reminder that communication isn't only about the words we choose. The way we say them can completely change how people experience the story. What makes this moment even more engaging is Monica's willingness to laugh at herself. Earlier in the interview, she admitted that performing certain accents can make her nervous, especially when native speakers might be listening. But here, there's no hesitation. She's simply having fun, embracing the lighthearted nature of the conversation without worrying about making every sound absolutely perfect. That confidence, mixed with her sense of humor, makes her appear even more relatable to viewers. As the laughter settles, it's clear that this brief accent demonstration has become far more than just a funny detour. It reveals Monica's playful personality, her comfort with improvisation, and her ability to connect with people through humor. In just a few minutes, the interview shifts from a standard promotional conversation into something audiences genuinely want to keep watching. It's one of those unexpected moments that people remember long after the interview ends, proving that sometimes the most unforgettable highlights are the ones that happen naturally. After the laughter surrounding Monica Barbaro's New York accent begins to settle, the conversation naturally shifts toward another part of her life that many fans may not know much about: her background in dance. At first, it seems like a simple change of topic, but it quickly becomes another opportunity for Monica to reveal more about who she is beyond the characters she plays on screen. Rather than focusing on fame or achievements, she opens up about a passion that shaped her long before Hollywood became part of her journey. Monica explains that dance was one of her earliest forms of creative expression. Long before stepping in front of movie cameras, she spent years training in ballet, a discipline known for its precision, patience, and incredible physical demands. To many people, ballet appears graceful and effortless, but Monica knows the reality behind that elegance. Every movement requires control, balance, strength, and countless hours of repetition. It's an art form that teaches resilience just as much as technique, and those lessons continue to influence the way she approaches acting today. As she reflects on those years of training, an interesting contrast begins to emerge. People often assume that someone with a professional dance background must automatically feel comfortable performing in front of crowds. Monica quickly laughs at that assumption. In reality, she describes herself as naturally shy, admitting that being the center of attention has never come as easily as many people might expect. It's a surprising revelation because confidence on screen often creates the illusion that actors are equally confident in every social situation. That honesty makes the conversation instantly more relatable. Nearly everyone has experienced moments where others expect them to perform simply because of something they're known for. Monica shares that whenever people discover she trained as a dancer, they immediately encourage her to show off her skills at parties or weddings. While the requests are usually well-intentioned, she admits they can make her feel surprisingly uncomfortable. Instead of wanting a spotlight, she'd much rather blend into the crowd and enjoy dancing alongside everyone else. She explains that, over the years, her relationship with dancing has changed. When she was younger, self-consciousness often made her hesitate before stepping onto a dance floor. Like many people, she worried about being watched or judged. But with time came a different perspective. She realized that dancing isn't about impressing others. It's about enjoying the moment. That shift in mindset allowed her to become far more relaxed in social settings, focusing less on expectations and more on simply having fun. There's also something deeply relatable about the way Monica talks about confidence. Rather than presenting confidence as something people either have or don't have, she describes it as something that gradually develops through experience. The more she allowed herself to stop worrying about perfection, the easier it became to enjoy herself. It's a subtle reminder that confidence often grows when we stop trying to meet everyone else's expectations and instead focus on being authentic. The conversation then circles back to ballet itself, with Monica expressing admiration for the dedication required by professional dancers. Although she trained extensively, she emphasizes just how physically demanding the discipline truly is. What audiences see as effortless beauty is actually the result of years of sacrifice, discipline, and relentless practice. Every graceful movement hides countless hours of hard work, making ballet one of the most demanding performing arts in the world. As this part of the interview comes to a close, viewers are left with a clearer picture of Monica Barbaro, not just as an actress promoting a new movie, but as someone who remains grounded despite her success. Her willingness to laugh at herself, acknowledge her shyness, and speak honestly about personal growth creates a stronger connection with the audience. It's another reminder that behind every polished performance is a real person who has faced insecurities, learned valuable lessons, and discovered that sometimes the greatest confidence comes from simply being yourself. With the conversation now flowing naturally between personal stories and lighthearted humor, the focus finally shifts to the project that has everyone talking, One Night Only. By this point, the audience has already gotten to know Monica Barbaro beyond her on-screen roles, making the discussion about the film feel much more engaging. Rather than sounding like a routine promotion, it becomes a genuine conversation about why this particular movie stood out among countless scripts she could have chosen. The host introduces the film by pointing out that its premise is unlike anything audiences are used to seeing. In an industry filled with familiar romantic comedies, One Night Only immediately separates itself by asking a bold and unusual question that instantly sparks curiosity. It's the kind of concept that makes people pause, think, and immediately start imagining how such a world would actually work. Even before viewers know anything about the characters, the central idea alone is enough to start conversations, debates, and endless what-if scenarios. Monica explains that this immediate curiosity was exactly what drew her to the project. She remembers reading the script and realizing it wasn't just another predictable romance. Every page introduced new situations, unexpected emotional turns, and clever moments that challenged both the characters and the audience. Instead of relying only on comedy, the story encouraged viewers to think about relationships, choices, and the rules that shape everyday life. That combination of humor and imagination made the script impossible for her to ignore. She goes on to describe how the film balances comedy with genuine emotion. While the premise naturally creates funny situations, the heart of the story lies in the people trying to navigate an unusual set of circumstances. Monica believes that audiences connect most strongly with characters who feel real, even when they're placed in extraordinary situations. That's one of the reasons she found the role so rewarding. Beneath all the laughs, there are meaningful conversations about trust, vulnerability, and human connection that give the story surprising emotional depth. As the discussion continues, it becomes clear that Monica appreciates projects capable of making people talk long after the credits roll. She explains that the most memorable films aren't always the ones with the biggest action sequences or dramatic twists. Sometimes they're the ones built around a single intriguing idea that everyone interprets differently. One Night Only creates exactly that kind of experience. Every viewer walks away imagining how they would respond if they found themselves living in the same fictional world, and that's part of what makes the film so entertaining. The host points out that the internet reacted almost immediately after learning about the movie's concept. Social media quickly filled with theories, jokes, and playful discussions as people began imagining impossible scenarios inspired by the film. Instead of simply announcing a new romantic comedy, the movie accidentally launched thousands of conversations across different platforms. Monica admits that watching this happen was both exciting and surprising because it proved that audiences were already emotionally invested before the film had even reached theaters. What stands out most is Monica's enthusiasm whenever she talks about audience curiosity. Rather than focusing on reviews or expectations, she seems genuinely fascinated by the way people interact with creative ideas. She enjoys seeing viewers ask questions, challenge assumptions, and come up with interpretations she never expected. To her, that's one of the most rewarding parts of storytelling. Once a movie is released, it no longer belongs only to the people who made it. It becomes part of countless conversations shaped by every individual who watches it. By the end of this part of the interview, one thing becomes perfectly clear. Monica Barbaro didn't choose One Night only simply because it was funny or unconventional. She chose it because it invited curiosity, encouraged discussion, and blended humor with heartfelt storytelling in a way that felt fresh and memorable. And as the interview continues, that same curiosity begins to shift toward another unexpected topic: the internet's wildly creative reactions, which would soon become one of Monica's favorite parts of the entire experience. As the discussion about the film continues, the conversation naturally turns toward something neither the cast nor the filmmakers could fully predict: the internet's incredible reaction to One Night Only. While every new movie generates some level of online discussion, this project seemed to spark something much bigger. Within a short time, social media was filled with jokes, creative theories, humorous comparisons, and endless what-if scenarios. Instead of simply talking about the cast or the trailer, people became fascinated by the film's unusual premise, turning it into one of the internet's favorite conversation topics. Monica Barbaro admits that watching these reactions unfold became one of the most enjoyable parts of promoting the movie. Rather than avoiding social media, she found herself genuinely curious about what fans were creating next. Every day seemed to bring another clever post, another unexpected joke, or another imaginative scenario inspired by the film. The creativity of the audience surprised her, proving that once an idea captures people's attention, they naturally begin expanding on it in ways no one could have predicted. What fascinated Monica the most wasn't simply that people were talking about the movie. It was how imaginative those conversations became. Instead of repeating the same opinions, fans started placing the film's concept into completely different fictional worlds and asking hilarious questions. They imagined how famous movie characters, historical figures, and legendary stories would react if they suddenly found themselves living under the unusual rules of one night only. Every new post seemed more creative than the last, and the internet quickly transformed a movie premise into an endless source of comedy. The host points out that this kind of audience engagement is something every filmmaker hopes for. Marketing campaigns can introduce a movie, but genuine excitement can't be manufactured. When people voluntarily begin creating memes, sharing jokes, and discussing a story with friends, it becomes clear that the idea has captured their imagination. Monica agrees completely. She explains that seeing audiences interact with the film in such an organic way felt incredibly rewarding because it showed that the story was connecting with people before they had even seen the entire movie. Another reason Monica appreciates these online reactions is because they reflect genuine curiosity rather than simple promotion. People weren't just saying they planned to watch the film. They were actively debating its possibilities, inventing funny situations, and imagining themselves inside its fictional world. That level of participation creates a completely different relationship between audiences and a movie. Instead of passively waiting for its release, viewers become emotionally invested long before opening weekend arrives. Monica also acknowledges that the internet has a unique way of giving every project a life of its own. Once something resonates with people, it begins evolving through countless different perspectives. One person creates a funny joke, another builds on it, and soon an entire community is contributing to the conversation. She finds that process fascinating because it reminds her that storytelling doesn't end when filming wraps. In many ways, a new chapter begins when audiences start interpreting the story through their own creativity and sense of humor. As the conversation continues, Monica's enthusiasm becomes increasingly clear. She isn't laughing because the jokes are promoting the film. She's laughing because they're genuinely clever. That authenticity makes her reaction feel refreshing. Rather than pretending to enjoy the attention, she openly admits that many of the memes genuinely entertained her. It's a reminder that she experiences the internet much like everyone else. Scrolling through posts, discovering unexpected jokes, and appreciating the creativity of people she has never even met. By the end of this segment, one message stands out above everything else. One Night only didn't become a trending topic simply because it featured well-known actors or an interesting trailer. It became part of online culture because its central idea encouraged people to imagine endless possibilities. Monica Barbaro clearly recognizes that kind of audience engagement as something special, and her genuine appreciation for the internet's creativity only makes fans feel even more connected to both her and the film. That connection sets the stage for the next part of the interview, where one particular viral joke becomes impossible to ignore. By this stage of the interview, it's obvious that Monica Barbaro isn't just aware of the internet's reaction to One Night Only. She's genuinely enjoying it. But then the conversation takes an even more entertaining turn as the host brings up one specific meme that had been circulating online. Out of the countless jokes inspired by the film's unusual premise, this one stood out from the rest. The moment it was mentioned, Monica's face immediately lit up, making it clear that she already knew exactly which joke was coming. She admits that she had seen the meme more than once, and every time it appeared on her screen, it made her laugh all over again. What impressed her wasn't just the humor itself, but the creativity behind it. Someone had taken the central idea of One Night Only and cleverly blended it with another well-known story, creating a joke that felt both unexpected and surprisingly clever. It was one of those rare internet moments where a simple idea was transformed into something that thousands of people instantly understood and wanted to share. The host laughs as he explains why the meme became so popular. It wasn't trying to criticize the movie or make fun of the cast. Instead, it playfully explored the film's concept by imagining how familiar characters from completely different worlds would react if they suddenly had to follow the same unusual rules. That simple twist opened the door to endless possibilities, encouraging people to create their own versions and keep the joke evolving. Before long, one funny post had turned into an entire wave of creativity across social media. Monica says this is exactly the kind of audience response she loves to see. Rather than treating the film as something untouchable, viewers were interacting with it, expanding on its ideas, and making it part of a much bigger cultural conversation. To her, that's one of the most rewarding aspects of storytelling. Once a movie reaches audiences, it begins living a life of its own. Every fan brings a different perspective, a different sense of humor, and a different way of interpreting the same concept, making the experience far richer than anyone involved in the production could have imagined. The discussion also highlights something interesting about modern audiences. A memorable movie isn't defined only by ticket sales or critical reviews anymore. Today, one clever meme can introduce millions of people to a film they might never have noticed otherwise. Social media has changed the way excitement spreads, allowing audiences themselves to become part of the conversation. Monica clearly understands this shift, and instead of resisting it, she embraces it with genuine enthusiasm. What makes her reaction especially refreshing is how natural it feels. She isn't pretending to enjoy the jokes simply because they're connected to her movie. Her laughter comes across as completely genuine, proving that she appreciates creativity wherever it comes from. That authenticity creates an even stronger connection with viewers because it shows she can laugh alongside the audience, rather than simply observing from a distance. The host then points out that very few promotional interviews end up generating memorable moments of their own. Usually, the focus stays entirely on the project being advertised. But in this case, the interview itself has become part of the entertainment. Between Monica's playful personality, her unexpected New York accent, and her enthusiastic reactions to the internet's creativity, the conversation has developed its own identity. People aren't just talking about One Night Only anymore. They're talking about the interview itself. As this segment comes to an end, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. Monica Barbaro understands that the relationship between actors and audiences has changed. Fans no longer simply watch a movie and move on. They discuss it, reinterpret it, create jokes about it, and share those ideas with millions of others. Instead of viewing that as a distraction, Monica sees it as one of the most exciting parts of modern storytelling. Her willingness to celebrate the audience's imagination transforms an ordinary promotional interview into something memorable, setting the stage for an even deeper conversation about working with the cast and bringing One Night Only to life. After spending so much time talking about the internet's hilarious reactions, the conversation naturally shifts back to the making of One Night Only. While the movie's unique premise may have captured everyone's attention, Monica Barbaro makes it clear that an interesting concept alone isn't enough to create a memorable film. At the heart of every successful romantic comedy is believable chemistry between the characters, and that's something that can never be forced. It has to develop through trust, collaboration, and countless hours of working together. Monica explains that one of the most rewarding parts of the project was building that connection with her fellow cast members. Before filming even began, everyone understood that the story depended on audiences believing in the relationships unfolding on screen. That meant spending time getting comfortable with one another, learning how each actor approached scenes, and creating an environment where everyone felt confident enough to experiment with different ideas. Those early conversations became the foundation for everything that followed during production. She describes the atmosphere on set as energetic but incredibly supportive. Although the film explores unusual situations and delivers plenty of comedic moments, everyone involved remained focused on keeping the characters emotionally grounded. Monica believes that comedy works best when the people inside the story take their circumstances seriously. Instead of trying to chase laughs, the cast concentrated on making every reaction feel honest. Ironically, that sincerity is what made many of the funniest moments land so naturally. Another topic that comes up is the balance between preparation and spontaneity. Like every actor, Monica arrived on set having carefully studied her scenes, but she also appreciated the unexpected moments that happened during filming. Sometimes a different line reading, a spontaneous reaction, or an unplanned exchange between actors would reveal something new about a scene. Rather than sticking rigidly to one idea, the cast remained open to discovering better moments together. That willingness to listen and adapt gave the performances a sense of freshness that audiences can often recognize without even realizing why. Monica also reflects on how important mutual trust becomes when filming a romantic comedy. Stories built around relationships require actors to communicate openly and support one another throughout the process. She explains that everyone shared the same goal, telling an entertaining story while making each performance feel authentic. Knowing that her fellow actors were equally committed allowed her to take creative risks without worrying about whether a scene would feel genuine. As production continued, Monica says it became clear that every member of the cast brought something unique to the film. Some performers naturally energized the set with humor between takes, while others contributed thoughtful insights that helped shape emotional scenes. Those different personalities blended together to create a positive working environment where creativity could flourish. Looking back, Monica believes those relationships behind the scenes played a major role in creating the chemistry audiences eventually see on screen. The host points out that viewers often assume chemistry simply happens because talented actors are placed together. Monica smiles at that idea and gently reminds everyone that, while talent is essential, meaningful performances are built through communication, preparation, and shared commitment. The audience only sees the finished result, but behind every effortless conversation on screen are weeks of rehearsals, discussions, and teamwork that help make those moments feel completely natural. As this part of the interview draws to a close, it's clear that Monica values the people she worked with just as much as the project itself. For her, One Night Only wasn't simply another movie. It was a collaborative experience built on creativity, trust, and a shared desire to tell an original story. That sense of teamwork not only strengthened the performances, but also helped transform an already intriguing concept into a film that audiences were eager to experience. With the conversation now covering everything from preparation to internet fame, there's only one question left. What does Monica hope viewers will take away after watching the film? As the interview approaches its final stretch, the conversation returns to the heart of everything they've been discussing. One Night Only. By now, Monica Barbaro has shared stories about preparing for the role, laughed about the internet's endless creativity, and revealed a more personal side of herself through humorous conversations and unexpected moments. But before wrapping up, there's one more important topic to explore: what audiences can actually expect once they sit down to watch the film. Monica explains that while the movie's unusual premise immediately grabs people's attention, it represents only the beginning of the story. She believes many viewers will arrive expecting a straightforward comedy built around a bold concept. Instead, they'll discover a film that constantly shifts between humor, romance, awkward situations, and surprisingly heartfelt conversations. That balance is what attracted her from the very beginning, because it allowed the story to entertain without losing its emotional core. She points out that the strongest moments aren't always the funniest ones. Sometimes the most memorable scenes come from quiet conversations between characters as they struggle to understand themselves and each other. Those emotional moments give the comedy greater impact because the audience genuinely begins to care about the people behind the jokes. Without that emotional connection, even the cleverest comedy would eventually lose its effect. The host agrees, noting that audiences today often appreciate stories that offer more than a single emotion. Modern viewers enjoy films that can make them laugh 1 minute and think deeply the next. Monica smiles at that observation, explaining that One Night Only constantly plays with audience expectations. Just when viewers think they know exactly where the story is heading, another unexpected conversation or emotional turning point changes the direction entirely. That unpredictability was one of the reasons she found the project so exciting. Another aspect Monica highlights is the film's ability to spark discussion long after it ends. She hopes audiences won't simply leave the theater talking about the funniest moments. Instead, she wants them to continue debating the choices the characters made, imagining how they themselves would respond in similar circumstances, and sharing those conversations with friends and family. To her, that's the sign of a memorable story, one that continues living in people's minds even after the credits have finished. The conversation also touches on the careful balance between originality and relatability. While the fictional world of One Night Only is built around an extraordinary concept, the emotions experienced by the characters remain completely familiar. Feelings like uncertainty, excitement, vulnerability, trust, and hope are things nearly everyone has experienced at some point. Monica believes those universal emotions are what ultimately make the film accessible, regardless of how unusual its premise may seem at first glance. As she reflects on the finished movie, Monica expresses genuine pride in what the entire cast and crew accomplished together. Every project presents its own challenges, but this one required everyone to fully commit to a world unlike anything audiences had seen before. Looking back, she feels grateful that everyone embraced the story with sincerity, rather than relying solely on its novelty. That commitment helped transform an imaginative idea into a film filled with genuine heart. The host points out that this combination of originality, humor, and emotional storytelling is exactly why the internet responded so enthusiastically even before the film's release. Monica agrees, saying that the audience's curiosity has been one of the most rewarding parts of the entire journey. Seeing people discuss the story, invent theories, and eagerly anticipate the film has made the experience even more meaningful than she expected. By the time this part of the interview comes to an end, one thing becomes clear. One Night Only isn't simply trying to surprise audiences with an unusual concept. It's aiming to tell a story that entertains, sparks conversation, and leaves viewers reflecting on its characters long after they've left the theater. That thoughtful combination of comedy and emotion perfectly captures why Monica Barbaro was so eager to become part of the project and why excitement surrounding the film continued to grow with every new conversation. As the interview reaches its conclusion, the conversation naturally shifts from discussing the film's production to reflecting on what Monica Barbaro ultimately hopes audiences will experience when they watch One Night Only. After sharing stories about learning accents, laughing over viral internet memes, and opening up about her creative process, she takes a moment to focus on the bigger picture. For Monica, the movie has always been about more than its attention-grabbing premise. She hopes viewers will walk away remembering the emotions, the relationships, and the conversations the story inspires. She explains that every film has a unique purpose. Some exist to thrill audiences with action, others to tell deeply emotional stories, while some simply aim to make people smile for a couple of hours. One Night Only, in her view, successfully combines several of those elements. It delivers comedy through unexpected situations, romance through believable relationships, and heartfelt moments that remind viewers why meaningful human connections matter. That combination is what made the project feel different from many of the scripts she had previously encountered. Monica also believes that one of the film's greatest strengths is its ability to encourage conversation. Rather than providing simple answers, the story invites audiences to imagine themselves in its fictional world. How would they react? What decisions would they make? Would they follow their emotions or their instincts? Those kinds of questions don't end when the movie does. Instead, they become part of the audience's experience, encouraging discussions long after people leave the theater. For Monica, that's one of the most rewarding outcomes any film can achieve. The host points out that movies capable of generating this level of curiosity often stay with audiences much longer than expected. Monica agrees, saying that she has always admired stories that leave people thinking. While laughter is an important part of entertainment, she appreciates films that also create opportunities for reflection. If viewers finish watching One Night Only and immediately begin discussing it with friends or family, then the film has accomplished something meaningful beyond simply entertaining them for an evening. Looking back on the entire interview, it's easy to see how every topic has connected naturally. What started with stories about preparing for different roles evolved into playful conversations about accents, unexpected laughter over her New York impression, fascinating insights into her ballet background, thoughtful discussions about the film's unusual concept, and genuine appreciation for the internet's endless creativity. Every subject revealed a different side of Monica's personality, making the conversation feel less like a promotional appearance and more like an authentic exchange between people enjoying each other's company. Monica also expresses gratitude for the overwhelming enthusiasm surrounding the movie. She acknowledges that audiences today have endless entertainment choices, making their attention incredibly valuable. Seeing people invest their time in discussing the film, creating memes, and sharing their excitement online has been both humbling and motivating. It reminds her why actors dedicate themselves to storytelling in the first place. Not simply to complete another project, but to create experiences that resonate with people in unexpected ways. As the discussion winds down, one final observation becomes impossible to ignore. Monica's greatest strength throughout the interview isn't just her talent as an actress, it's her authenticity. Whether she's admitting that certain accents still make her nervous, laughing at jokes created by strangers online, or speaking passionately about storytelling, every answer feels sincere. That honesty is exactly what keeps viewers engaged from beginning to end. In an era where many celebrity interviews can feel overly rehearsed, Monica's willingness to embrace spontaneity makes this conversation stand out. By the end, the interview leaves audiences with more than excitement for one night only. It offers a deeper appreciation for the work that goes into bringing a story to life and for the people behind the performances. Monica Barbaro doesn't simply promote a movie. She invites viewers into the creative journey that made it possible. And perhaps that's why this interview continues to resonate. It's funny, insightful, heartfelt, and filled with genuine moments that remind us why authentic conversations often become just as memorable as the films themselves. As the conversation comes to a close, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. What seemed like a simple interview about one night only quietly transformed into something far more memorable. And that's exactly why it resonated with so many people. It wasn't built around manufactured drama or over-the-top moments. Instead, it relied on something much more powerful: genuine authenticity. When people sense honesty, their attention naturally stays locked in, and Monica Barbaro demonstrated that from beginning to end. Throughout the interview, she never appeared focused on delivering the perfect answer. Instead, she allowed her personality to lead the conversation. From discussing the dedication required to prepare for demanding roles, to laughing at her own New York accent, to openly celebrating the internet's endless creativity, every moment felt unscripted and refreshingly human. That authenticity creates trust, and trust is one of the strongest reasons audiences continue watching long after their curiosity has been satisfied. Another reason this interview leaves such a lasting impression is the element of surprise. The human mind is naturally drawn to the unexpected. Every time viewers think they know where a conversation is going, an unpredictable moment instantly renews their attention. Monica's playful stories, spontaneous humor, and genuine reactions kept creating those unexpected moments, making the interview feel engaging from the first minute to the last. Instead of becoming predictable, it continually rewarded curiosity with something new. There's also the power of emotional connection. People may arrive because they're interested in the movie, but they stay because they feel connected to the person behind it. Monica never tried to present herself as flawless or larger than life. She openly admitted when something made her nervous, laughed at herself without hesitation, and spoke with genuine appreciation for the audience's creativity. Those small moments create familiarity, and familiarity naturally builds likability. It's a simple psychological principle. People remember how someone made them feel far longer than they remember every word that was said. The interview also highlights another fascinating aspect of modern entertainment. Today's audiences don't just consume stories, they become part of them. They create memes, share theories, start conversations, and reinterpret ideas in ways no filmmaker could ever predict. Instead of resisting that participation, Monica welcomed it with enthusiasm. By appreciating the audience's creativity, she strengthened the connection between herself and the people supporting her work. That sense of shared experience is what transforms casual viewers into loyal fans. Perhaps the biggest takeaway is that One Night Only has already accomplished something many films hope to achieve. Long before everyone has even watched it, it has inspired conversations, laughter, curiosity, and endless imagination. The movie's unique premise sparked attention, but Monica's warmth and authenticity helped sustain it. Together, they created the perfect combination of intrigue and emotional connection. Two psychological triggers that naturally keep people interested. By the time the interview ends, viewers aren't just thinking about a romantic comedy with an unusual concept. They're remembering the laughter, the playful New York accent, the behind-the-scenes stories, and the genuine excitement Monica Barbaro showed whenever she talked about her work. Those emotional memories are what linger long after the interview is over, and they're exactly what make conversations like this feel so rewarding. And that's what makes this appearance stand out. It isn't just another stop on a promotional tour. It's a reminder that the most unforgettable interviews aren't always the loudest. They're the ones that feel authentic, spark curiosity, create emotional connection, and leave audiences wanting more. Monica Barbaro did exactly that, proving that sometimes the strongest impression isn't created by controversy or spectacle, but by sincerity, humor, and a willingness to share the journey with everyone watching. If this conversation is any indication, One Night Only isn't simply another film release. It's a story that's already bringing people together through laughter, imagination, and conversation. And judging by the internet's reaction so far, that conversation is only just beginning.